Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group, and with me as always is Chip Januszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about you, Eric?
Doing fantastic. And of course, you've had a special week. You're a grandfather again.
I am. As of last Thursday, my grandson Luca was born, and my granddaughter really loves her little brother. So cool. Got the thing on video and so on and so forth. And now everybody down there, you heard the term "sleeping like a baby." That means waking up every 2 hours and crying.
Right.
But that's where we are. So what can I say? I'm a happy guy. So speaking of happy, got a big smile on the other screen here as a guest coming back for the second time.
Yes, we've got Stephen King Jr., who's been with us before, and he has done some amazing things in the meanwhile. Aside from all he's been involved with, he has become the first African American deputy mayor of the town of South Windsor, Connecticut. So, congratulations, Steve.
Thank you. Appreciate that, though. It's great to be back with y'all.
So, tell us how you got involved in that. I mean, it started out you were a town councilor, but tell us
Correct.
about that.
So it's interesting because nothing was necessarily by design. So yes, I was the first appointed Black town councilor, African American town councilor of South Windsor. And then they said, Stephen, we want you to run again. I said, of course, I'm not gonna half step into this. And so I ran and became the first African American Black town councilor that was duly elected. But the icing on the cake, if you will, I guess, depending on your perspective, is that I got the second highest. I was the second highest vote getter out of all the parties that were involved. And not just my town, other towns do this too, where all of a sudden someone came in and said, congratulations, deputy mayor. And I said, what? And, you look at the numbers and you're like, oh, wow. But I've been in situations before, and I said, let's just wait till all this kind of bears out. And it's not until other people start coming to you, and whether it's conceding, whatever, and they say congratulations, and that was it. However, like most things in life, it only matters in a certain sector. So it's like maybe 11 o'clock at night, I go home and my kids are asleep, and my wife is asleep, TV's on, she's asleep on the couch. And I said, hey, babe, I won. She said, yep, congratulations. And I said, well, yeah, but I'm also, I also got the second highest amount of votes. I'm deputy mayor. Okay. So you're still cooking dinner tomorrow.
Right. See, that's what family is really for. It's like when things start going to our heads, when we get that, they're there to just bring us back to earth.
And that's exactly how that worked. And I said, yep, okay, thank you. And that was it. So it's been a ride, to be sure, especially from a historic standpoint, but at the same time, just the job in and of itself is huge, especially as a lot of people don't know. So, not all towns pay. They're and South Windsor is one of those that doesn't. So that's the next question that people say, oh, wow, how much you making? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm not, this is pro bono, and so it's like, what? It's like, yeah, but if you have something that you want to do for a specific reason, then you're willing to kind of make that happen. And so as long as my family was there to support it, so that's what we're doing right now.
So initially, you ran for town council. What got you interested in that?
So I was already doing some things, as Chip well knows, in my fraternity. And so I have escalating levels in that. And quite honestly, there were some things that were going on in the town of South Windsor that transparently, I just wasn't that comfortable with. And I said, in order for me to have maybe some level of impact, sometimes you have to be in what I call a power, quote unquote, power position. And that's not necessarily power to make someone less than, but that if you try to push an initiative or do something, that someone has to at least respect your position enough that, okay, we at least need to take a look at it, right? And so that was the initial catalyst for me saying, let me get involved in some political stuff. And at first it was just minor. I was just on some committees, the WPCA, the Water Pollution Control Authority, and I was part of the Inland Wetlands Commission. And those were, little did I know, very big in most towns. And
yeah, those are very influential positions. People don't necessarily
Yeah.
realize that.
they don't, not at all. I mean, inland wetlands, if you want to build something somewhere, well, if it's a wetland, you're not.
Yep.
And we have the control of saying that. And the WPCA, well, we're the ones that determine the sewage rates and all that stuff. We make sure that your backyard isn't overflowing with all of the raw nutrients of everything going on in life. So once I figured that out, and the blessing though was, honestly, both of those committees allowed me to learn. Like sometimes you get around people that they know everything,
Yeah.
and but they allowed me to sit there and not feel less than. And they would say, Stephen, do you have any questions about what we're about to do here? Or do you have any input? Because we know you have outside experience in other things. And I'll tell you that I'm beholden to the WPCA and the Inland Wetlands Commission for all of those individuals that treated me as an equal, even though I definitely didn't know half as much as they did.
But you were able to take the opportunity to learn, and that's so important. I mean, we talked about that the last time you were on, about the importance of lifelong learning, and this just gave you another opportunity.
It really did. It doesn't matter how many degrees or even experience that you might have. There's always something that you may not know, and it's not until you close your mouth and observe and listen that you'll say, "Oh, okay." And you don't make yourself look like the fool just because you're trying to make yourself look better than somebody else. And so, yeah, I definitely took advantage of that in those moments, without a doubt.
I'm sure the fact that you learned everything from them and they were so open and so on and so forth. I know you were overwhelmed when you found out that you had the second most
Right.
which must have just blown you away. But the fact
Right.
that you're going to be working with these people who helped you get where you were there and helped develop the respect and so on and so forth. I'm sure that you must feel
Yes.
that.
I found that out after that was very important, that on both sides of the aisle, that people appreciated that even though I did come in with a certain amount of education and experience and all those things, that I wasn't spitting off my mouth and all that type of stuff and that was something, actually, two people specifically did my nomination and all those types of things, and wrote a letter of recommendation from the other party saying, Steve is that guy, and we're very comfortable. And so when everything kind of shook out, there were high fives all around, and the respect was there, because I think they knew that even not knowing this role as I now know it, I was still willing to sit back and learn and say, okay, how can we achieve what we all want best for the town of South Windsor as a whole?
Yeah, it's the spirit of collaboration, just using everybody you have and everybody working for the same cause. So it sounds like you have a wonderful team.
Yes, big time.
And that is fantastic, because unfortunately, we don't see that a lot in public life anymore. People aren't working across aisles and putting together teams. And that's how things get done. Things only get better when you work together.
Correct. Absolutely. I don't think there's anything that whether it's marriage, relationships, work, I think we were kind of alluding to it earlier. Even if you're a comic book aficionado, there is no team out there that works best by themselves. And the minute that you try to do that, even if you want to take certain sports, that's why the quarterback of a football team buys his offensive line the rings and the watches, and because you recognize, and yes, you have to have a certain amount of arrogance, but they know where their bread is buttered. And I think that I agree. I think sometimes we especially, well, politicians forget about that. And they forget about the bigger picture of working together and in business too. You know, if anybody believes that the best owners, managers, vice president, whatever, they're the ones that their team stays loyal to, that even when COVID hits, they still hang out. No, we understand we're on a situation.
Exactly.
You know, we'll take a pay cut. We get it, boss. We understand. But we care about you so much because you cared about us when times were good.
Yep.
We'll be with you through this.
That's exactly right. I mean, to use your sports metaphor, if you take a look at any superstar in the NBA, they'll all tell you, well, who's got the assist? He can't get that shot without the assist.
Right. And even if you're Michael Jordan, he knew at a certain point, if you're a Bulls aficionado, I had to give the ball to Paxson. I had to give the ball to Kerr. We needed that 3-point shot because everyone was going to come to me. And if I don't, and this is really what it comes down to, if I don't trust my team, I can't succeed. I can't, because I'm not going to be able to do it by myself. At a certain point, somebody's going to humble you.
And if you don't trust your team isn't going to trust you. And then nothing gets done.
Right. And then you're out. And then you're by yourself. And I think a lot of owners, managers, this pandemic, and this is a time capsule, I suppose, showed a lot of people, the saying is very true. If you don't take care of the people that take care of your customers, then they're not going to take care of you. And I know a lot of individuals from a lot of the different things that I'm a part of, that the ones that took care of their people, they're the ones that stuck by them. They're the ones that said, no, we'll figure it out together. And then that owner, that manager was extremely happy, extremely supportive. And now that things are starting to come back, they're not the ones worried about their team. Now, they're back, right. and you know who sees it even more? Their customers. Like, I remember, and this is not a sponsor or anything, but I remember there was a certain restaurant that literally put ads in papers saying, we are going to keep our staff on the payroll because we believe in our staff and our community. And the minute I saw that, I said, babe, that's where all our money's going. I don't care. We're going to go there because that person, that owner, that management group knows what's important. It's not, yes, it is the bottom line, but it's your people, it's your team.
Right, but you can't look at the bottom line without looking at these other factors. Everybody talks about customer engagement, but who are the people that are engaging those customers? It's the employees. You take care of the employees take care of the customers, and the customers create the bottom line.
Exactly. They see that you're loyal. They see as an employee that you care. And that starts at the top, but not saying that I'm at the top. Everybody knows you're at the top. You don't need to say it every time you walk in the door and so on and so forth. There's already a built-in, quote unquote, respect. Whether they respect you or not, they respect the position. But when customers, I see it all the time. You can tell immediately whether a manager is there or not, depending on how employees act, right? But it's always the best spots that there's not a manager per se, but everybody's having fun. It might be busy as heck, but everyone knows that it's busy as heck and everybody's having fun. Hey, Eric, we'll get to this second. I know you ordered that. I apologize. As you can see, we're jamming. Everybody's in it. And you can tell that their leadership has allowed them and empowered them to have fun, to have a good time, because they recognize that customers will feed back off of that. I've never met a pissed off customer where it's happiness inside of an organization, because usually the expectation is there. We've said it. We're not trying to, front or act fake. Hey, we know we didn't have this when we said we apologize. Hey, I got it, boss. I just came in with it. And then I'm like, what? That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. And you walk out and then you refer that. You said, man, you guys got to go there. They took care of me. Man, they did it. So, but again, it's team.
Yeah, it's basically, it just comes down to humility. And whatever leading the place, it comes down to their vision and how they want things to happen. And they got to realize that, you know, the real math is 1 + 1 is 4, 2 + 2 is 10, and so on and so forth. And
Yes.
get everybody together doing that. That's just, and I was an accounting major, but but we're not going to talk about the books today. But that's the way business is. It's all about, and it's tangible. When you walk in as a customer, or when you saw that commercial, you didn't need to be a customer. It was a tangible feeling that just hits you right where it hits all of us. And
Right.
I mean, those are the type of people that you know are supporting and doing everything they can. And you know, obviously, that came out in a lot of businesses and a lot of different industries and a lot of, you know, so many different ways during the pandemic, from healthcare down to all of us being eyes and living with our eyes blind and just seeing people for what they are, and so on and so forth, and just working towards those. I mean, there's so much good going on here. And folks, put this on the news on the front page tonight, because this is the podcast belongs there, as opposed to all the daily updates and all the crap that's going on. Sorry, is that censored? But anyway.
It's okay. The FCC doesn't listen to these. You know?
Not yet. Not yet. They'll find out.
Right.
He said, what?
Tell us about your new venture going on down in New Haven.
So this is an opportunity that I had been working on for a while. And again, another great customer service story where there's a place called Philly's CT. And I had been looking for a while for a place that sold, you know, cheesesteak, something that reminded me of home. And no shade on anybody out there that thinks they're doing it, but every city has their own thing. Like if I go somewhere, even in Philadelphia, I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I'm gonna get the best seafood out of Philly. That's not what they're necessarily known for. I go to New England, I go to New Hampshire, I go to Maine, I expect seafood coming right off the boat, you know? And so I was looking for something like that. And I looked up Philadelphia, and it sent me down to Norwich, and I was like, oh, that's a drive. But I said, okay, you know what? Let me go down there, check it out. I put the family in the car, and we went down there. And little did I know that the owner of the establishment, a guy by the name of Shem Adams, was there. Huge black dude, but with a smile. I mean, he was just phenomenal. But again, like any customer service, you don't know who somebody is if they don't tell you who they are, which is also a huge blessing, right? And so he just came through just like a regular waiter or whatever. And this is obviously before the pandemic. And they said, hey, how can I help you out? I said, oh, I'm Steve, Philly. Oh, I'm from Philly too. And you know, I said, awesome. And he really took care of our family and made suggestions and so on and so forth. And then later I find out that he's the owner, and I'm like, wow, dude. And he said, hey, you know, I forget, one of my kids might have said it, Dad, can we take a picture? And I'm like, I don't know, he's real busy. I said, Shem, you mind if we take a picture? He said, yeah. Went outside, took 3, 4, 5 pictures. Again, little did I know, this dude's been on the Food Network, the Travel Channel, this and that and the other thing, right? So I find all this out later. This is just a regular dude, but he's that guy. And I went back down later, and I said to him, you know, if I could ever be a part of what you're growing, you know, I'm from Philly, I would love to be able to help you out. You're a real genuine dude. And he said, hey, you never know. I appreciate you saying that. Gave the soul brother handshake, kept it moving. Fast forward, maybe a year or two later, and this again is right before the pandemic, he invites me to go what they call location shopping. Little did I know they were looking to open up other spots. I met him first, might have been West Hartford, Yale, New Haven. And he said, Steve, we want you to come in and be a part of this. Let me introduce you to some people. And I said, okay, I got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. This is before politics and everything else. And I said, I met people, and I said, okay, awesome. Now, I thought he was going to manage, you know, of his new restaurant. And I was willing to do that. I worked at KFC, Olive Garden as a child. And then the pandemic hit. Boom. Shut the world down. And I just said, man, oh, well, everything happens for a reason. Maybe the opportunity wasn't right. Fast forward, We're on the tail end of the pandemic 2020, 2021, maybe midway. World starts to open up just a little bit. I get invited back down to Yale, met a couple of more people, and they said, Steve, we'd be really interested in knowing, because we've been watching you in what you do on your other stuff. And we'd want to know if you wanted to be part of this. And I said, sure, what are you looking for? And they said, well, we'd like to have a director of operations because we plan on opening several other locations. And I said, are you serious? Yes. I said, and you've been watching me? Yes. We wanted to see how you handle being patient in this situation. Where you're going to rush us, where you're going to be all over us, because nobody knew how long the pandemic was going to be, really.
Yep.
Where you're going to stay in touch with us, all those things. And, and this goes to, man goes by outward appearance. You never know who's keeping their eyes on you, your personality, all those types of things, lessons learned. And next thing you know, I'm asked to be a part of this organization. They said, we need you. We have a place that we're opening at Yale. I was part of that build out, and that'll be opening up around May 8th. We're building one in Bennington, Vermont. We just scouted a place in West Hartford, and, it's just been a huge blessing. But one of the things that we're going to be doing, and Chip, you and I will definitely be talking about these types of things, is making sure that your brand is set up in such a way that no matter where your location, everyone knows it's the same. And not just the same from an employee standpoint, but from a food standpoint, all of those things. You can go to Chick-fil-A anywhere. Chick-fil-A in Philadelphia, whether you like them or not. Chick-fil-A here in Manchester, Chick-fil-A in West Hartford. It's the same customer service. I forget their slogan, but how can we be of service or whatever? Same food.
Right.
And so
the food's the same, the service is the same. They've got it down to a science, and every different franchise, no matter who's owning it, they're following that same playbook.
Yes. Five Guys, Chipotle.
Yep.
There are certain things that when you're going in there, fresh, customer service, all those things are going to, and then when it's not, the management team wants to know. If it's not, we can't help have something that's affecting our brand in a negative way. And so, that's the game plan here. And I'm very thankful because, it's just one of those things, but no different than the politics. Again, people watch you by your example, and you don't know that somebody.
And I like that you just said it's just like the politics, because people don't seem to realize that the lessons you learn in one part of life can just apply across the board. Things aren't siloed like people think they are. No. It's all who you are, what you're doing, and that stands out. Whether it's business, politics, community, whatever it is, you are the difference. Right. And that stands out.
It does in such a huge way. And especially, you just have to be conscious. And Lord knows I've made my share of mistakes. The camera, as they say, the camera's always on, now more than ever. And it's not about being fake, but it is about being genuine to yourself. And if you are that, then you never have to apologize. Even if somebody else thinks you're wrong, you're still true to yourself. But recognizing that no matter what position you're in, always be able to help somebody out if you're able to. But, and it's cliche, but treat somebody how you want to be treated, regardless of the position that you're in. Somebody always wants to see a smile or a handshake or whatever it might be, and just respect everyone for whatever they want to be respected in. And I think that those things have truly, at least for my life anyway, continue to, even learning by example, it's so huge, so huge.
Yeah, it really is. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit.
Yeah,
because we've talked a lot about all of these accomplishments and stuff, but one of the things we haven't touched about in either of your appearances here is that you're also a singer and a performer. So are you still
Yeah.
performing while you're doing all of this?
Yes. So, as you can imagine, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know that. So I've been singing in whether it's the Philadelphia Boys Choir, church choirs, so on and so forth for a very long time. It is definitely my release. And so now I've been singing with a group by the name of Soul Sound Review. It's a Motown review group. It's a 9-piece live band, and I'm one of 3 main singers. And I've been singing with them for the better part of maybe 10 years now, it seems. The pandemic obviously shut the world down, but yes, I am still singing with them. We perform a lot of places. I know now a lot now. Weddings have picked back up again, so we're doing a lot of those types of performances. I definitely with the summer series in different towns, we'll be doing those again. So it's a lot of fun, especially when people want to, I don't want to say escape, but just want to just relax. And when you have guys and gals up there that are having fun, because that's the other piece, right? We all sing professionally to a certain extent, we're paid. But one of the things that we really enjoy doing is having fun with each other, even on stage. And again, people recognize that and appreciate that when they're in the audience. We try to make them feel, if you will, a part of the show. And then we see them afterwards. But yeah, it's a huge blessing, man. I'm very, very thankful for it, because it's funny though. People will say, wait a minute, aren't you the deputy mayor of South Windsor? And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait a minute, don't you work for other designs? Were you just doing a menu? I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't you? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, but again, it's not a pride thing. It's just a hey. And then when I see them, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Let's have a good time. And I think people like that and respect that too. So that's always fun when somebody sees me outside.
And anybody who's seen you sing knows the energy you bring to that, and it's you bring that same energy to everything you do. So we are actually just about out of time. So I want to
Okay.
thank you for being with us again. And I mean,
Yes.
you've got such great stuff going on.
Right.
Is there anything that you're doing in South Windsor that you want to give a
Yeah.
quick shout out to?
Well, fortunately, our we have a chamber out here, and we have some initiatives that are going on. Especially, I think one of the things big right now is working with our young people coming on this outside of COVID, whether it's mental health, whether it's saying it's okay, those types of things. They're being in front of the computer screens all the time and saying it's all right, but finding young people that are also in different arts commissions. So we have a whole bunch of murals that are starting to go out there, and so we're excited about that, and saying to our young people, hey, it's okay. Let's come outside of the house. Let's get back together. Let's have some fun again. And so that's something that I'm really excited about. Some initiatives that we have coming up here in South Windsor. And obviously, yes, on the Motown Review side, you guys are going to see me, whether it's in New Britain, whether it's in West Hartford, and please don't ever hesitate to come up and say hello. There's nothing that I kind of don't like is if somebody thinks that I'm not touchable, or they say, oh, I saw you. I'm like, why didn't you say something? You know? And then they're like, oh, I don't want to bother you. Trust me, it is not a bother. Why? Because I know I like that. If I see somebody and I know them, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the things that we have going on. And like I said, stay tuned for again, May 8th in New Haven for the opening of Phillies. It's a Taste of Philadelphia. So that's coming. So a lot of great things that we are excited about. And I'm just thankful that you guys have given me the opportunity and the floor space to express myself and have this type of conversation.
We're glad you could do it. So, Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for this week?
Oh, wow. Where do I begin? I mean, I always, when I talk about networking, I say people buy things when they need or want them. People gravitate to people who are who they want to be, not people who to them and correct them and so on and so forth. Albert Schweitzer, one of my favorite sayings is example is not the main thing in influencing others. It is the only thing. That's King. You are the real deal. Everything that you do, this is why people are attracted to you and you're spreading everything out there. And that's, basically a takeaway. You've seen what Stephen King Jr. is doing here. Just do that. Be enthusiastic with what you do. Just go out there and contribute, help out all you can, learn, and so on and so forth. I mean, Lily's great, and yet Steve is a showman. You can do both at the same time. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, the big takeaway is, be yourself, be part of a team, and always be learning. Those seem to just define what you do. And every time you get involved with something else, you take it on, you learn what you're doing, and you bring that enthusiasm to make it a success.
Yeah, that's a blessing. And I thank you for that, because that is very true. And I think you alluded to earlier, the Chip is don't be afraid to be humble and take a lump every now and again. Even when you make a mistake, recognize that and just, hey, my fault. Don't try to dig your hole deeper.
That's it. It's not about not falling down. It's about getting back up.
Exactly.
And positivity and enthusiasm is contagious. Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I had to beg and plead for your sympathy. All right, there we go. That was for you, Aaron. Since you asked for that, there you go.
All right. Thank you so much. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.